Welcome to the Tea Grannies. I'm Elise.
And I'm Maria. Today we're going to be having a meltdown about our current manuscripts. So pour yourself a cup of tea and let's get started.
What are we working on and how is it going?
It's going bad. Oh, man.
I mean, sometimes yes and sometimes no. And maybe right now it's a little more yes than we want it to be. And that's why this episode is called Manuscript Meltdown.
Yes.
Because we need
Very
to
true.
leave space for the meltdown. We need to
The
feel
one
the
we're having-
feelings.
The one that we're having that's recorded. This
Yeah.
is not all the meltdowns, you
No,
know? Like,
Those
this is
aren't...
just like one
Mhm.
blip in time at our meltdown. So.
Yeah. The rest of the meltdowns are not for internet-wide consumption.
They're not for public consumption, yeah.
No. But Manuscript Meltdown, we can do that. So,
Yep.
yeah, I guess I'll go first and talk about my project, which I can't remember what project I was working on the last time we did this.
I think you had multiple. We were talking about multiple last time, I think.
Okay.
Bug babies and this one. You were starting this one or something.
Okay, well, that's a fun
Or
little follow-up.
something like that. Yeah.
So
That's what I remember.
I am still querying bug babies, and that's just a whole little whatever. I have one full out right now with an agent. So that's cool. And we'll see where that goes, if that goes. I'm basically just not thinking about it, so I don't even know how long it's been out.
That's probably for the best.
Yeah, it doesn't exist for the time being. For the time being, I am at 70,000 words out of 80,000 planned for Poison Tongue. It's my little YA fantasy about a girl who's been separated from her family, and she's learning just how far she's willing to go to make it home. So this one is cute, and I promise, there's minimal murder. There's no torture. And it features some like reverse Ella Enchanted magic, at least two-headed snakes, and one especially angry goat. Yeah, that's the book.
I'm here for the angry goat.
I knew you would be.
Yeah, because I don't love. Okay, everyone's gonna be like, "What are you talking about?" I love all animals, right? But I would not personally get a goat because I've seen enough videos and footage of people's goats on like the roof and like, you know what I mean. I'm like, I just don't want to deal with that kind of shenanigans. Like, the animals I have are high maintenance enough. I don't need a goat. Yeah,
But then you come across a little video on Instagram of a goat on a seesaw.
Oh, that's
and
cute.
you're just like, well, I could have a goat and I could give it a seesaw. It doesn't even look that hard. But then you learn about how angry goats are in general. So
yeah. And they just poop a lot. I mean, they all poop a lot, but I mean, you know, pick your poop that you're going to pick up, right?
Pick your poison, pick your poop.
Anyway, what am I working on?
What are you working
clearly on? Procrastinating, because that is my main talent. I couldn't even get to what I was working on. I had to go on a tangent. I'm still working on my political fantasy romance because I'm a glutton for punishment. I have a really fun historical romance idea just brewing in my brain, and I really want to work on that. But I know the only reason I want to do that is because I'm procrastinating. Like, that is what I'm going to use to procrastinate. I'll be like, I wrote today. Yeah, it wasn't on the project that's been, you know, hanging over my head for like 2 fucking years. But I did work on something. You know what I mean?
Worked on something.
I told myself I'm not allowed to work on it unless I've made progress on this manuscript. Then I can work on that a little bit. So all I've done so far is kind of some brainstorming, but that's as far as I've gotten because I haven't been working on this project. So I don't get my reward of playing with the other one.
Okay, that's what I was just going to say. That one is the reward for working on this one, which is Lady Killer. Amazing. Okay.
Right.
Well,
so yeah.
We all procrastinate in different ways. I feel like...
It's true.
I don't know. I feel like I do something similar of like wanting to, as soon as the one that I'm working on is getting tedious for some reason, want to work on something else because that one's got it'll just be better. It'll just be easy, and like We'll get into this later because I have a whole section about it, but the beginning of stories for me is always the easiest part.
Oh, me too.
I love
the beginning
to
is
start.
no problem. I can start
So
I can
much
start
fun.
100 stories in projects. But can I get to the middle? And more importantly, can I get to the end?
Can I get to the
because
end?
Because I was like 27-ish years old when I finally wrote to the end of a story, like the end of a novel. And I had written so many frickin' projects in my life.
What an accomplishment, though. Like,
right? I was like, better late than never.
Go. Absolutely.
Right? But it's rough. The end is difficult. In which case I'm gonna let you talk because I think that is what you can
No kidding. Whoa, what a segue. It's like your pros in this or something. For my meltdown, item number 1, how do you spell the end? How? And then item number 2, while I try and figure that out, I have been writing words between bouts of lying on the floor in existential dread that I don't know how to write words anymore. And spoiler alert, I do, in fact, still maintain my control of the English language. And the words that I think are trash are always better the next day than I thought they were the first day. So let them marinate. Let them take a little time. Let yourself come off the ledge and then go back to it. And that, honestly, has been every weekday for the last several weeks that I've spent working on this project of write some words, take a break, end up on floor somehow, asking the same question about how is my writing so trash? And then get up, sit back down, write some more, and then turn it off for the day, and then come back to it the next day. And to get into the rhythm of it, I'll go back and read a little bit. I'll do some edits a little bit because I'm rewriting, revising, so it's not like a first draft where I want to just plow ahead. And I'll read through every single time without fail. Unless I know that I'm going in the wrong direction and need to rework something, I will sit down to read what I wrote the previous day and be like, oh, it's actually not bad. That's pretty good, in fact. And I could keep that and just, tweak here and here. And then, no, I like it. I like it again. Great. Good.
If only that happened all the way through the process and not just
without the lying on the floor and despair.
Yeah, without the laying on the floor. Yeah. Because I'm also in revising, rewriting,
Mm-hmm.
And so I pulled this first or the last version of this chapter, definitely not the first version. This most recent to work from, and so I sort of rewrite. I have them in one on one screen, one in the other. And I'm writing, and I'm like, oh, that's a good line. That was a good one. And I keep writing, I'm like, you wrote that, you dumbass. You just don't remember. Because, who remembers every line that they've, or any good lines? But, I always do that. I always think I can't write. And a lot of it is because, everyone's listening to me talk right now. This is sort of how my brain goes, and it stops and starts in a million different ways. And so sometimes I'm like, I can't write because I must write like I think. And I sound like an idiot. But actually, no, writing is when I can actually slow things down enough that all of my sentences make more sense.
Right.
And I always forget that. And then I read it and go, okay, good. Whew, you're not that big of an idiot. Good job. But then I do things like messing up the main character's hair color multiple times in a draft. And I'm like, do you know what brown is? Do you know?
Do you
considered?
No. Do you know how to spell the end?
Yeah,
it's the same problem. Hair color at the end, same thing.
Same thing.
No.
Same shit, different day, as they say.
Literally. Different day, different pile. But Maria just lost it. That was very satisfying. Seriously, in all seriousness, though, just putting my serious face on. I'm still smiling. I can't say anything with a serious, straight face. And I just would love to make you spit out your tea, so I'm going to keep saying shit like that until you do. But yeah, writing the end of a story has always held so much. Just I couldn't even find a word for this, so I just mash my all caps keyboard for my notes on this. Endings, man, they don't land, they don't click. I rewrite them multiple times, they break my brain. And I was actually listening to V.E. Schwab's podcast because now apparently I'm obsessed with everything that she does. But she interviews various authors about their writing life and process, and she always frames it as what would it take to summon this author into a summoning circle as though they're a demon. Like, that's been the theme of her season so far. And then each author kind of has to give, like, what are some things that would, if they were a demon being summoned, summon them to a summoning circle. And then they have, like, an actual conversation about writing and their process. And so she had Brandon Sanderson on, and if you know me, you know that I do enjoy his work quite a lot. So it was like, oh, two of my favorite authors in one conversation. I must listen and absorb knowledge by osmosis, as if that was how it worked. But they were both talking about how they are complete opposite writers to how I am. The two of them are the same, and I'm the complete opposite, where they have the hardest time with beginnings, like just getting the story started. Makes them want to pull out their hair, and they just like, they will redo that over and over and over again until they find something that kind of works, and then they'll keep writing, and then eventually they'll come back and redo it all over again because they've written the ending now, and now they know how they want to fix the start. So they, you know, have the hardest time with the beginnings. But one of the things that they do, both of them, is that they try and figure out their ending. Both of them do this before they even start writing anything at all. So they have like their ending plotted out before they write the first word of the beginning. And that way, that they both of them said that when they get to the end of the story, the ending flows so easily because they've just kind of like slotted everything into place up until that point. How? Like, they're both, it's sorcery. I don't know how else, because like I'm literally the opposite. And that realization, I think, has been crushing my confidence lately, of just like, maybe I'm a bad writer because I can't do it like that. And it's like, no, every writer is different, and that's not how this works. And, you know, that whole thing. But it's been a bit like, yeah, it's been a bit suffocating. Because starting a story is my favorite part almost every time. And then my motivation will sag in the middle. And then by the time I hit the end, I'm in this rut of writing and rewriting like every other scene 5 to 6 different times. And I feel like everything I'm putting on paper feels like absolute dog shit. Like, no exaggeration. I feel like it's the worst thing I have ever put down in words every time.
So where like Brandon Sanderson and V.E. Schwab are the same, you and I are the same. I'm like, yes. The part where you're writing it over and over again, and it's hardly different. And each time you're like, it's shittier than last time.
Somehow.
And all you do is change like one sentence. And like the whole thing's crap. See, okay, this is the thing. This is the part that's tough for me. And I think it's because I also, well, I have this problem too, but I wonder if it also stems from us being like pantsers, kind of. Like, we don't plot like other people plot. Like, we tend to like, we follow the vibes when we are writing, you know? Really, and like, I think, and I love that, especially in a first draft. I feel like that's the most fun way to write for me, is to just follow my nose.
Well, and I think that's why it's fun, right? Like,
that's
we look forward to that act of discovery. Like, when I start a story, I'm not excited about like, this is where the character is going to end up at the end. I'm excited by, I have this little sliver of who this person is or might be, and now I get to sit down and write and discover who they actually are. And that's the process that just like feels so motivating and exciting.
Because you're like discovering as you go. It's like really entertaining in a way that editing can not be. Because here's the other thing is like, if you know your ending and you can write to the ending, I bet those guys don't have as many edits to deal with because they knew what they were writing to. Whereas we are writing like into the abyss. Always. And then when we go to edit, we're like, well, I do have to change the ending because I wrote, you know, like all over the map, and like I have all these changes to make, which is going to change the ending. So, and then you're not sure what the changes will be until you've made some of them, and then you're still not on the ending. And that is exactly where I am, my friends. This is a great time for us to have our meltdown, isn't it? I will take over just for a moment to complain about my struggles. Most of my struggles have not been actually literally writing related. They have been like life related. But this entire manuscript, like the entire experience, has been like wading through wet concrete. It is so tiring and slow, and like I feel like I've just been working on this project forever, and I've had like every setback you can imagine. And I actually made a list because I was like, maybe you're being dramatic, maybe. So I made a list, and the this is a list of, this is just the stuff that stood out. Okay, so we start gentle. Reggie, my little beloved tuxedo kitty, stepped on my laptop and deleted a scene, which wasn't the end of the world because like I had it kind of semi-saved somewhere else. Wasn't as good, but it's fine. Then it was like the usual perfectionism, procrastination. Then my senior horse died, and that was sad. But I was like semi-prepared because she was 19 and wasn't super healthy. My best friend had a baby, which was like huge life change, very exciting. And then my other horse died, which was tragic as fuck and has caused like irreparable damage to my psyche at this point. I spent my life savings on a new horse because that would fix my life, obviously, right? Then I fell off the new horse and got a concussion from whiplash. So did you know if you get whiplash from a car accident, it will haunt you for the rest of your life? Yeah. And then because of that, appointments, so many fucking appointments. Every day I have an appointment. Some days I have 2 appointments. I have 3 appointments. I have to book off work to go to appointments. Then I have work. Then I had year-end times 2. And then, all while this is happening, the perfectionism and the procrastination are just having a field day. Yeah. Right? So it's like I'm working against there's only 1% of me that is like making progress. The rest of me is like actively making it impossible. And so I feel like I am my biggest hurdle. But being gentle to myself in that I had a concussion, it's probably a good thing I didn't work on it while I was concussed. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It would have been worse. But it has been particularly draining, and then I find I'm not as like creatively inclined because all this stuff has been, and then by the time I get home from my 3 appointments, and I put the heating pad on my neck and I'm like, okay, well, all right, so tomorrow I have to get my stuff ready for work and I have to do some laundry because I've got no pants, and like life happens, and then I'm like, I'm not going to work on my writing. Yeah. I'm going to sit here and stare at the wall. Yeah. Right. Recover. So, really glad my therapist doesn't listen to this because she'd be like, that's not what we talked about, girl. Oh no. That's not what we talked about doing. Oh, no. And I'll be like, I know, don't listen. So, I think that has been my biggest challenge. I want to say that things are settling down. But I am back into like normal work mode, which is great. Okay. And I'm very proud of myself. I booked off next week. My horse is going to the show with my coach, and then I'm going to groom because I cannot afford a groom with my own. I am the groom. So I was like, okay, well, when I'm done at the show and I come home and I don't have to do any work, I am going to write. Yay. So that is what I have to look forward to. Okay. Next week is like getting really sweaty and tired and exhausted and stuff at the horse show, and then coming home and writing. Might not sound that enjoyable to most people, but let me tell you, going to the horse show and coming home to write is like my perfect day.
That's awesome. Okay. It's pretty good. So high motivation right there.
Yes. Yeah. Hopefully cool. It sticks around this week.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's always brutal when like basically life happens to you. Like, yeah, totally. So many of those things are outside of your control, right?
That's it. That's what's been so tough because I am also a control freak. And I'm like, if everybody stopped dying and getting in my way, my schedule can't handle it. Yeah. Get it together. Yeah. But yeah, it's hard. Like you said, when life is happening to you, it's very different than when you are making things happen for yourself. And yeah, so it's been a little rough, but I have, one of the things I did is I sat down and I made a list of goals for August, and I did not overwhelm it. I wasn't like, finish your manuscript. Yeah. It was stuff like prioritize creative time, have at least 3 sessions a week, like that kind of thing. So because I will do the thing where I'm sure a lot of other writers do this. You have this little block of free time for writing, and then someone's like, hey, can you do, or can we met? And you're like, oh yeah, I mean, I'll just bump that down or something. Yeah. And then it just never happens.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So, it has to be protected. That's what I have to do. I probably said that last episode.
Protect it like it's an endangered species.
Yes. Let's go. Protect it like it's writing time. Because, like, I protect that. Like, no one's allowed to touch that. Yeah. Yeah. If someone's like, can we do a 9 a.m. meeting? I'm like, sorry, it has to be 10. I'm going to the barn. Yeah. Yeah. So,
Yeah, there's something to that. Knowing what you value and what's really important to you and finding ways to prioritize that time. Yeah, because otherwise it won't. And I mean, there's seasons where it's still like you can't make it happen.
It's true.
And then
it's true.
That sucks. But also finding ways to not beat up yourself about it because that's outside of your control.
That's the hardest part. The real question is, where do we go from here?
Good segue. Beautiful. Yeah, that's our next section. And I mean, when I'm at the climbing gym and I'm working on a climbing project that is really hard, and I turn to someone in a fit of frustration, I ask them, I don't understand how you did that move, how you got up to that hold. And usually like the first answer is kind of a smirk and a laugh and you just go up is what people will say, which is like, knowingly unhelpful. It's like try hard, go up. Those are the two things people will say first, and it's a joke. Like they know, and then they'll like say like, have you tried like positioning yourself this way or trying, then they get into actual tips and tricks. And I feel like that's what I'm about to do. Where do we go from here? For me, this entire month, it has been butt and chair, words on page, over and over and over again. And yes, that may feel like they suck, and then just keep doing it. And then, yeah, you might redo it. You might scrap it. You might rewrite a scene 3, 4, 5 frickin' times before you get on to the next thing. And that's kind of been my pattern of I just keep showing up. It is my privilege to have this season where I can come and treat it like a work day, where I show up in the morning, I sit here until lunch, I take a break, I sit in here until my husband comes home, and when he's home from work, my work day ends and I don't write anymore in the evening. And that's how it's getting done. And that is how it does get done. So yeah, just go up.
Just keep trying, just try harder. No, just kidding.
But because that's useless to literally all of us, that's when we switch into the actual helpful things. I intersperse my bouts of creativity with lots of walks and chores. I've been doing lots of laundry throughout the week, which, to my husband is like, great, then he doesn't have to do it on the weekend. But yeah, it's kind of like sit down, write a bit, get stuck, spiral in self-doubt, get up, go do the laundry, sit down, write a bit, find yourself back spiraling. Oh, it's lunchtime. Great. We'll get up and do that. And then sit down, still spiraling, write a bit anyways, end up on floor. And it's just, repeating that day in and day out. And then break that up with a few like brainstorming chats with a friend here or there, like whoever the universe sends your way. It could be especially best friends and husbands, the two not mutually exclusive, but who knows? A conversation with someone about something indirectly related could absolutely unlock something somewhere. And then finally, sleep on it. I have slept on so many scenes and problems in the last month where I don't necessarily have the solution the next day. But when I'm really stuck on something, the solution never comes when I'm sitting in my chair trying to write it down. It never happens there. It always happens on a walk or doing the dishes or after a good night's rest or while on the climbing wall. That's where I figure out how to get through.
Or when you have like nowhere to write it down or note it down and you're like, oh my God, I just figured it out. And like
I'll remember
your
it in the
biggest thing now is like, finding it. So you're not like, I'll remember. Because as established, I don't ever remember. So it's
same.
Yeah, it's got to be written down. You'll see me like, I'll be like panicking, running for like my phone or something, and Nick will start talking to me, and I'm like, like I can't. I gotta hold this thought and put it down because it's gonna leave. You also have to be quiet for a moment.
Yeah. So that's that's where I'm going from here. But as established, we're in different stages with different problems for different creativity issues. So where are you going from here?
Well, I feel like I need a bullet.
No.
Put us all up for misery here.
Forbidden.
I'm kidding. As previously mentioned, my horse is going to a show next week, so I am going to be there and I will be writing after. I am not going to work. And I think the main thing that I need, the thing that I've noticed, is I really need writing sprints, because Elise might be my emotional support writing buddy here, because the second she logs in, I'm getting words down.
Huh.
Yeah. So can you please tell me why that is? I'll be like, I'll tell Elise what I've written, but it does not work.
Yeah.
You have to actually be there.
I have to actually be there.
I don't know why.
What?
Apparently, I'm a toddler. I need you in my sight, or it's like not happening. And I did finally get what I call the murder board, which is I got a giant whiteboard with like a cork section on the bottom.
Yep.
And I have an easel for it, which is not user friendly, FYI, if anybody's thinking of doing it that way. It's also like one of those like easels that like collapses really easily.
Oh no.
Except it can collapse really easily.
Oh no.
But it was really cheap. So I was like, I'll just deal with it for now. And it's still better than leaving all my giant Post-it notes on the floor and the cats like play in them and tear it up, or the dogs like drool on it or whatever. So I'm like, it's still tidier. And then, as usual, my ADHD brain is like, if you could just make your writing circumstances perfect, you would get this all done. You'd get so much writing done. But the thing that I can never do is create that perfect environment, because it doesn't exist.
Yeah, that's another form of procrastination.
It is. Oh my God. I'm like, okay, like when I book my writing blocks, this is something I've had to come to accept about myself. If I book a 2-hour block, it probably takes me 30 minutes to actually sit down and get stuff happening, because I'll like set up and sit down, and then I'll be like, ooh, forgot to make a tea, or forgot to do this, or oops, I want to get the speaker for music, and then I got to light my candle, and I should get my water, and I should put my phone in the other room because I'm going to pick it up. And then next thing you know, it's 30 minutes in. So like I've kind of had to build that into my, rather than getting mad at myself about it, being like, it takes you about half an hour to settle in. Like, I mean, I'm sure there's people that can sit down and right away they can just sink right into their story, and like, fuck them. But the rest of us maybe can't do that. So I need a little settle in time. So I had to build that in too. So I'm like, okay, when I book my writing blocks, the thing I was making the mistake with was when I was quite busy there, I was like, oh, I'll sneak in an hour here, an hour there. That doesn't do much, because it takes me half an hour to settle in, as established.
Right.
And then I'll look at the clock and be like, I only have 30 minutes left. And I just cannot get, like, it feels like too much pressure. Yeah. So I think one of my other lessons learned is minimum 2-hour block.
Okay. I have a question, and forgive me if it's stupid, but
I was going to say there's no such thing, but then I was like, I went to work this morning. Better. That's not true.
No, but my question is, have you considered giving yourself like how people talk about having a writing ritual where some people will light the same candle every time, right? It sounds like you're kind of doing that, but have you considered doing it in a checklist form? So all those things that I know, so do I. So I'm thinking of doing this for myself, but all those things that you listed of like, I forgot to make a tea, or I need to put my phone away, or like whatever, all of those things can be on the list. And then you set up a ritual for yourself where you work through those items in the same order every time. And if you're like me and you can't remember what all of them are, and you're inevitably going to forget one of them, the first step in your writing ritual is to go into your office and pull out the list and look at it, and then start working through each one by one. So if that's okay, I need to go turn the kettle on, and while the water's boiling, I can work through the next ones, and then make my tea. But by the time, you get to the end of the list, that if you do it the same way every time, the idea is that it becomes a habit or a rhythm, and that's what helps you like sink into the rhythm of it.
That tracks, because
right?
I was just talking about this with my husband the other night, because we both have ADHD, and we were talking about how like it's almost impossible to form a habit, right? But we can use different terms, can help. Like rhythm is a good one, ritual, or like we have like resets, we'll call them. So like on the weekend we do a Sunday reset, and it's the same every week, like wash the bed, blah blah blah. And so the interesting thing about these routines is like if we can do them, is for ADHD people especially, they are like a way to regulate, because the body and the brain start to recognize the familiarity of it and everything like that. And so it helps create like just like a calmer baseline. And like I can do that with stuff like I have my morning routine is really good, and we've like our evening routine's like not bad. I mean, the hardest part of the evening routine is getting the dogs to get up and go pee, act like they're being murdered every night. And then, like that makes a big difference, but I haven't actually, I'm so bad at applying this stuff to my creative life. Like I'll apply that to like, I even do it at the office. I have a routine when I get to the office and everything.
Yeah.
But I do not have it when it comes to anything creative. And I just don't know if I'm like, I sometimes think there's like this little part of my brain that's like, oh, that's different. That's different. That's a different Maria. She does, but actually, no, she's the same. She needs the same structure.
Maria. Yeah. I think there's something to that though, of, I still think it can work, and that, that it's something that you and I could probably try and like get maybe different levels of success with it, or, you know, find it helpful in different ways. But I think there's something to what you just said of not putting that structure to your writing time, because maybe it's just like, well, that's different. I'm a different kind of person in that zone. But also like the thing that we just talked about, how we love the beginning, we love the discovery process, we love that like unstructured time to figure out who the character is or what the story is along the way, and not like force ourselves into any kind of box with it. Like that's a very freeing thing for us, I think. So the idea of putting this structure around that time feels counterintuitive or like counterproductive to that feeling that we're trying to chase. But I'd still be interested in how it feels for each of us to have that structure at the top of the writing time, because it's not like the structure is impeding the writing time itself. It is preparing you for the writing time, where you then get to feel that lack of structure and that freedom from the daily lists and to-dos to just like feel with the story, right? We have homework to do.
We do, because I was also thinking, if we have a like ritual for sitting down or a checklist for sitting down, we should probably have one for when you wrap up, because I'm actually okay about that. I'll usually make a note, like there's a note under my work keyboard right now, not where it should be, but it's there, about some stuff I have to do next on my manuscript. Like I have to move some notes over, and then like an idea, I was like, am I going to play with that or not? And I'm like, that's for next session, right? And so I wonder if like having like that would be handy, and that if in the checklist we also reviewed the day before.
Oh, I love this so much. I feel like I need to take notes for this process, because I was just going to say, at my last job before I quit, one of the habits that I started, I want to say pretty early in that job, like I did it for many consecutive months, I blocked off a half hour at the end of every work day. And in that half hour, as long as I had space, because unexpected things come up, I would try not to schedule meetings during that time, because I knew that running a meeting late meant that I would stay late to wrap up what I needed to wrap up and then go home late. So I tried to guard that last half hour. Like I blocked it out of my calendar, so you could not book a meeting with me unless I revised my calendar to accept it. And in that last half hour, as long as everything went the way I wanted it to, that half hour was for going through my checklist of like my unending to-dos, because it's marketing, so the to-dos never ever end. It's like a
like me at work as well.
It's just pushing the rock up the hill like forever. That's marketing.
I think that's corporate jobs.
That's
honestly.
Jobs. That's life. That's jobs. It's great. We love it here. And
we love it here. We just spend most of our time in other fictional worlds because we love
because we love it here so much. Exactly. They call it escapism for a reason. But yes, so that half hour was, I would go through my to-dos and I would check off the things that I'd forgotten to check off, because that happened to me all the time. And then I would basically build a priority list for the next day because my priorities would change every day. I was a project manager, so this is my lot in life. That's fine. But it'll sound like hell to everybody. But if you're a project manager, you know that this is what you're paid to do. So enjoyed it to an extent. But with project management, you are looking like you're like the spider in the middle of the web. You're looking at every possible string of every possible thing that needs to get done and when it needs to get done. And so and so didn't get their thing done today, so that means that this won't get done until later than we planned for, and that will get bumped, and that will get. And so you're like nudging things and like, okay, I need to make space for this here, but I know they're going to be working on that big thing over there, so I have to move it a few more days, which means that this step will get bumped. Like, it's a lot of just shuffling, constant shuffling. And if people aren't keeping on top of their tasks, it makes my job take longer because I have to shuffle deadlines to make up for them not doing their job.
Well, the amount of shuffling that I do, I feel like every day I shuffle my calendar and it makes my eye twitch.
Yeah, so that's a project manager. That's what I was doing. And I was good at it. But so that last half hour was my space to do that for myself, because I spent a lot of the time like making sure everyone else is organized and all those pieces are in place, but I also have my own stuff to do. So that space was for me to be like, okay, what did I get done today and what did I not get done that I had planned to get done? And so what is now really high priority tomorrow? And I have to bump the things I had originally intended to do. What you were saying about having like a wrap-up task list for us writing, I think that's potentially something that I am missing big time is what am I going to work on next time I sit down? And we've talked in the past about like, you never want to stop writing at the end of a scene or the end of a chapter. You kind of want to stop writing in the middle of a paragraph or the middle of a section so that you know exactly where you're coming back to when you sit down again. The momentum is like almost already there. You can get the ball rolling so much faster. I think that's what this is.
Oh, I think you're right. It's like the structured version of that, or like the real life application.
Yeah.
Because I do the same thing where I don't finish off at the end of a chapter. Yeah. Although if I am at the end of a chapter and I am like, that's the end of my writing session, I'll open up the next chapter, make sure it's plotted, jot a couple notes down at the beginning so it's not a blank page. And then when I come back the next time, I'm like, oh, I can start. Like, it's not empty or whatever, right? It's like everything we do is a brain trick.
Yeah, we're just tricking our brain into doing what we want to do.
We're tricking these advanced monkeys into writing stories one word at a time.
It's bribery. It's bribery all day long.
I mean, I bribe myself for everything. Yeah. Like the other thing that has been bad about all the appointments is I do this thing where, I do that. I'm going to get myself a treat because I did the thing I didn't want to do. Yeah. But the problem is when you have appointments almost every day, multiple days a week, those treats are adding up. My coffee, tea, snack allowance is like a little bit over. I know. I did some expenses today and I was like, oh my God. And there's still a few more days left in this month, but I'm going to need a treat. I have so many appointments tomorrow. I'm still getting a treat. I'm driving right by the bookstore on the way home. So who knows, right?
This is you saying, I know that I've noticed the problem. I'm not fixing the problem.
See, I know the problem's there. I'm just ignoring it. Okay. I love when people bring stuff up to me and I'm like, no, I know. I'm just not dealing with it right now. And they're like, oh, okay. And I'm like, I mean, you can deal with it for me if you want, but like,
The good news is we're not going to do that with our writing. We're going to actually fix the problem.
Yes. And writing's different too, because I feel like I spend a lot of time reading, as do you, right? And so I think sometimes even if we're stuck in our writing or we had a not good writing day, we just pick up a book and read later. By the time we're ready to write again, like we've almost cleared the cache because we're still taking in the good art and the inspo and like it does all this stuff in the background that you don't even notice. Helps unlock problems that you're having. And that's why I'm always yelling, reading is research, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And so even when you're drafting, so this is the other thing I run into a little bit when I'm drafting right now, which is audiobooks are kind of the only thing I can do for the most part. Like I have one physical read right now, but I definitely find like my brain's a bit like, okay, I've looked at a lot of words today between work and writing. And so I think audiobooks have been handy for that. But yeah, it definitely is. It's a little tough because then everyone's like, you should read this. It's a good comp title. And I'm like, I should read that. Oh, the audio hold is like 12 weeks.
Shoot. Yeah.
Just another thing. Another thing I have to do. But anyways, we have specific issues to yap about, not just me yapping about my current issues in life, which...
Well, it's Manuscript Meltdown, kind of. There aren't really that many rules to this.
Honestly, like we could do a whole 2 seasons of Manuscript Meltdowns and it would all be for this fucking project. But the thing that keeps me going on this project is I know it's good and I know it could be really good. And that's the only reason I keep going. But then, I mean, not getting into this today, but as part of my meltdown has also been like I want to be able to query this and I want it to be successful. And so I'm putting a lot of pressure on myself to make this draft really good. Yeah. And so I have a note that says it's already good. Yeah. That I look at before I write, but it's still a little tough because I think no one is a harsher critic than ourselves. Yeah. Especially for our own work. And so that is also something that can slow me down. And we've talked about this before, but it's like the thing I wrote a new note that's like, how would you write this if it was just for you?
Mm-hmm.
And that way I can hopefully stay away from like, how would this go out on the market?
Yeah. Are people going to like this? Is this satisfying? Yeah. I think
because business brain needs to shut off actually during the creative process.
Yeah.
You know, and that is obviously a tough one for you, which is also why on in-office days where I find I use all of my business brain, I don't usually write after, because I feel like I come home and I can't get out of that
You're in
space.
business brain.
Yeah. So I usually save those days for, I mean, even today we're podcasting today because that's still kind of like work. You know, it's like in the middle. It's work, but it's not work.
Yeah. It feels more like work than writing does in some ways.
It does. Yeah, it's like I actually had to like show up on time for this, and I wasn't on time. Sorry, Lee. After I asked you if you could move it up, and then I was late by a few minutes because like. But this is, you know, this is why it's good to be friends with your podcast co-host. Hey, don't hold this against you.
Time is a construct. Time is a construct.
And again, for the 100th time, I'm going to stop talking so that we can go into our brainstorming issues. You tell us about yours. You're going to talk about theme. Theme was always my least favorite.
So
English.
I'm going to talk about that. Exactly that.
It's the worst, but you know what? The floor is yours. I don't want to talk about theme, so you go for it.
Well, so I put theme under our notes for specific issues for brainstorming to talk about this episode. This is also coming out of the V.E. Schwab, Brandon Sanderson podcast conversation I listened to. But yeah, a discussion about theme. And I was the same as you in English class in grade school. Whenever a teacher would bring up theme in talking about literature, I would like internally absolutely cringe. Like, it was my least favorite topic. I had like such a visceral, very strong reaction against this idea that every story has to have some kind of deeper meaning behind it, and stories can't just be what they are on the surface. They can't just be fun and entertaining without trying to make too much of it. Like, everything has to have this, you know, subtle, hidden whatever. And I think there was a part to what I was reacting to that was correct, or like, you know, there's a validity there for my younger self. But naturally, so also were the English teachers and the literature teachers about, you know, theme being an important element of literature. Who knew? And I think through listening to Schwab and Sanderson discuss this, what I experienced was like my theme, the main theme for Poison Tongue as I'm writing it, clicked into place. Like, it was already there. It's not like I discovered it and realized, oh, I need to work this in somehow. It's like, this is what the character is kind of encountering at these different points, at these major turning points in the story. This is kind of the question that she's trying to answer. And I think that even like a fun romp of a book that is pure escapism, like, it's not supposed to be this deeper narrative about the socioeconomical state of America or whatever else it is that people are trying to write about in the Western world all the time. But even if it's just like a fun fantasy romance that is not supposed to have this deeper meaning, it has some kind of central idea, whether it's the author or the character. Someone wants to tease that apart and get to the bottom of it and just kind of like work through different ramifications of it. And one of the things that they talked about on the podcast was theme being hard to teach. Like, it's something that you as the writer have to figure out. It's not something that someone can teach you to arrive at and give you like tips and tricks to get there. So when they read work from a budding author or someone who's just starting out, and that person has already kind of grasped this concept, they're like so excited for that person because like, oh, you're already there. You're already well ahead of the game, and that's going to make, you know, the process that much easier. And so it was really gratifying to listen to that and to have my story's theme also fall into place at the same time, of knowing that I am able to do that unteachable thing, and that I had already established what I needed a little bit loosely. I think it was also the first time that I have knowingly attributed this idea of theme to one of my projects, because like I said, like you said, we've both had this reaction to theme of like, ugh, gross, don't want to touch that, don't want to deal with that. That's, you know, least favorite part of lit class. So I think this is the first time that I've consciously been like, you know what, no, my story does actually have a central theme, and it is important to how characters make decisions and where it shows up. And it was there all along. All I really had to do was go back and add a bit of flavor here and there to make it pop like it was intended all along. And that's kind of how they talked about it on the podcast too. Like, it's not that you're going in to solve for world peace. Like, you're not trying to do like save the world with this idea or make some big splash in a philosophical argument. Like, we're not trying to be a Nobel Prize winner or anything with this. Maybe you are, and power to you if that's how you want to do it, but like, that's not what I'm setting out to do. I'm not trying to save the world with my literature. I'm just trying to write something fun. I'm trying to write a fun romp most of the time, but even in that, there is a theme underneath it. And where I was, I think, thinking about it incorrectly before was that theme goes beyond what does my character want. What my character wants is their inherent motivation. It's the thing that drives them to go after what they're looking for. But that's not the theme of the story. The theme might be more closely related to like why they want that thing, or just something that ties together different people throughout the story working towards a common goal or working against each other in a common goal. And maybe it's probably helpful to do what they always do in lit classes and take some famous literature and be like, what's a theme in this one? So I'm going very much against everything in my body, flesh and bones to do this. But like, the one example that I was able to research a little bit to get help for was in Lord of the Rings, because so many people are going to be aware of the plot. An example of a major theme of the story, because it's really hard to pin down just one. That's too reductionist. But a major theme in the Lord of the Rings is the danger of power and how people use power and how that can get them into trouble or how they respond to it. So like Frodo, Aragorn, Gandalf, Boromir, Sam, Galadriel, Saruman, Denethor, Faramir, all of them have some like highlighted key core moments where they're reacting to the power of the ring and what they might do with it and how they might try and harness it or whether they would try at all. And that's all this like background dialogue about the danger of power and the person who wields it and how they choose to approach it. Another example would be like the dangers of attempting to defy nature or play God in Frankenstein, and create life from death, something that is, widely perceived as inherently impossible. And should it be possible? Should humans be allowed to do that thing? That's kind of one of the themes that the story explores. So yeah, that's my big thing.
Now I'm sitting here like, what do I do? What do I do?
You don't think about it. You don't think about it. You just keep working at it.
Like that
and for context, like the theme didn't lock in for me until 3/4 of the way through. So if you're not there yet, don't think about it. Okay. And it was at the 3/4 mark that I like around the time when I was listening to this where it clicked in for me of like, so the theme that I identified for Poison Tongue is how far are you willing to go to get what you're looking for, to get what you want, to get what you're after.
I like that.
And it's not just a theme for the main character, it's a theme for the antagonist, it's a theme for the secondary antagonist, it's a theme for all the people. And like, where's the line that you draw in the sand, and when are you willing to cross it, or are you willing to cross it at all? And why are different people willing to go farther than others? So it's, yeah, there's ideas of morality behind that and everything. And even saying that, like, that sounds so pretentious and like
a lot of writing
deal.
stuff does. Like right? when you bring it into like when we start talking about it in like that literary way, it does sound a bit snobby, right?
But it's like, not.
It's not. It's just the way it kind of comes out.
Like that theme is there, but it's not like I'm going deep into that in the story of like, I don't have a scene where Mia is thinking about how far people are willing to go to get what they want. Yeah.
Like it doesn't actually, it's not actually like said verbatim in
No, it's not stated on the page. Yeah. It can be. I know some stories will do that. But, and like, I was chatting with Maya the other day about the theme of Pride and Prejudice and how I think the character is Mary, who says something about pride and prejudice in a sentence. And it's like title drop. Oh, that's the theme of the story, right? But it's done in a way that because of how Mary is and how she says it, it doesn't come across as contrived or whatever. But I think for like more escapist and less serious stories, the theme doesn't need to be stated. It's underneath. It's just something that
reoccurs throughout.
Yeah,
like
and
that is not just through one character. Like it's becoming it's a theme. Think theme party, friends.
Yeah.
What? Yeah. You know, if the theme is Star Wars, you're not showing up dressed like Aragorn. You know?
Yeah, literally.
Like theme. And as you're talking about that, I'm making my notes about my manuscript. I'm like, what would the theme be for this one? And I actually have a few.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say you can do more than one. Like just nailing it down to one is like not. That's the one that stood out to me in the moment of like how far are you willing to go to get what you want. But there's other ones of like truth versus lies, and is it okay to lie? When is it okay to lie? Is it okay to lie to get what you want? And that kind of thing shows up in the story. And there's all sorts of themes that we could go after. But
and then I'm going through mine. I'm like, power, responsibility, family, freedom. Like those are the short version themes. And then I will have a note, should also apply to other characters. Look at me learning from my own show. And I keep cutting you off. I'm sorry.
The theme of the eldest daughter and responsibility.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Wow. I think that's actually going to be it. You're right. I think that's more like it.
That's what it is for your female POV, but that's not what it is for your male POV.
So it's almost like, hold that thought.
Is it clicking into place in real time right now?
Something might be. It could be. Yeah. Honestly, the theme could be women's unseen labor at this point.
Yep, that's one of the themes. Absolutely. I think this
both
one,
mental and physical.
the one that I landed on for Poison Tongue was just really apparent in the major turning points of the story, like in the inciting incident when Mia makes a decision and her life changes fundamentally because of that. It's answering that theme. And then at the halfway mark in the 50%, when things go to shit and she has to make another decision and she's stuck between a rock and a hard place, her answer answers that theme again. And then in this like final grand battle at the end of all things in this story, which is not a grand battle at all, it's just a climactic moment. She has to make yet another decision, and she's had her practice. She's managed to make the decisions leading up to this point, and this point is to show that she's grown as a person and that she's decided how she wants to approach this. She's decided how far she is willing to go in order to get what she wants. And there are some lines she will cross, and there are others that she won't. And yeah, so her decisions are answering that theme. Because like she's the only POV. I'm not doing multiple POVs with this one. So that makes it, I think, maybe a little easier, maybe a little more streamlined. I'm not trying to balance.
Yeah, because now I'm like, well, I've got 2 POVs, so I will have to make sure the theme, but I actually do think that the themes will work out, because my 2 main characters, like that's one of the things they kind of bond over is like, they are or have been responsible for so many things, and they're just like, tired.
Yeah, there you go. That's a theme.
Not at all talking about my own life.
No.
So like I know it probably sounds like I'm having a minor crisis about theme right now, but that's not actually what I came here to complain about. So I'm halfway through chapter 9. I put chapter 9 and a half in my notes here, because that's essentially where I'm at. And I'm not even halfway through Act 1. So then I'm getting into like, I don't want this book to be huge, but have I way overshot the mark on what all is going to get into the book? Or is my beginning too slow? Because it doesn't feel slow. It feels like it's right. But then I also am like, well, I think as I'm solving the problem as I talk, for the 3-act thing is like, I think one of the things I have to do is maybe consider that some parts in the Act 1 actually need to be in Act 2. And maybe the scene I'm currently married to as the end of Act 1 might actually need to happen like in Act 2 instead, or kicks off Act 2 perhaps.
My question, if I can, would be the thing that I would consider, because I think I've run into this as well, is sometimes I think what is like the turning point for Act 1 into Act 2 is actually part of Act 2. It's not actually the turning point. The turning point happened already earlier. So I would consider for you reevaluating, like, what's the inciting incident? Because that's kind of the main moment in Act 1. And then other things happen, and then there should be a bit of a turning point into Act 2. So did those actually happen earlier? Are you looking at it too late? Or maybe not, in which case there's more to think about. I'm not sure.
Right. Or I'm also having to, so I had a scene I was going to add, and now I'm like, I wonder if I shouldn't add it in the beginning, if I should add it in the middle, because I can still make it work. It will just be like a little different than I envisioned it. It's a new scene, so I feel like I'm flexible.
Yeah.
And that would actually really help me like keep the beginning a little bit more snug, Act 1, because I do think that scene should be in Act 2, and then my end of Act 1 could, oh my god, of course
she got it,
because I almost changed that scene, but now I think if I leave it the same but better, it will. Okay, well, cool, we solved a problem.
Amazing.
I'm very happy about that. And then I had at least already added a big note to this.
Yes.
So it's on my list now. But one of my thoughts was, can my political fantasy be captivating enough if there's not an obvious war happening? Because I'm fucking so tired of war. It's everywhere. And there's just so much drama. You don't even need the war to make drama in politics. Because one of the things that one of the ways I've designed, or like I'm working on this, or however you want to put it, is I'm not a very, like, I shouldn't say I'm not a political person, that's not true, but I'm not super educated on like the way a lot of the system works, down to the nitty gritty. So a lot of the politics that I have kind of put into this in my fantasy world, I've actually kind of designed around office politics, because that's where I've spent a lot of my time. There's also like horseback riding politics and that kind of stuff, but I feel like that doesn't suit the story. But the office politics is like very similar, and I think of how many dramatic things happen behind the scenes that majority of the staff never even know about, ever. And I think about how like that must happen all the time, like, and that's when I'm like, hey, is that going to be enough? And then Elise, of course, gave me a book recommendation, which I immediately wrote down. And if anybody wants to know, it's The Goblin Emperor by Catherine Addison. So I have not read it yet, but you know what's funny? You're not the first person to recommend it to me.
Okay.
Someone else has recommended it to me. And it wasn't even to do this manuscript. It was just like an aside. So I'm like, okay, now I obviously have to read it. It's been recommended twice. And it could be very helpful, because that kind of answered my own question, because, I was like, I feel like it's boring. But then as I'm going through it, I'm like, ooh, it's like, can't be that boring, right? But like, I also kind of wonder, just because there's so many big fantasy books out there where like the war is like the big thing. And I just don't really want to do that. So now I'm like, okay, I can just do some research now.
For answering that question, that book is perfect, because when I went into it blind. I don't remember anyone recommending it to me. I don't even know how it got on my list. But I took it out from the library, I think, as an audiobook. Yeah, the audiobook was really good. The narrator was, I really enjoyed it. And there were so many points in the story where I was just so positively, in a positive way, confused by how engaged I was, because it was the what was happening in the story didn't match my enthusiasm and interest in it. I'm not usually big on political intrigue. I don't usually care about that political drama. It kind of, it's like, I'll skim through that to get to the good parts. Like, I want to know about the people themselves and how they're processing things in their relationships, whatever. That's what I care about. So when we get into like the heavy political intrigue, I usually get a bit lost and don't really care. But this book is from a single POV POV, I believe. If there are any other POVs, they're brief, kind of like transition chapters, but predominantly from one POV. And so many times I was like, no, is anything happening? I don't know why I like this so much. This is so intriguing and fascinating. But it's all about how deeply you get into this character's brain and his experience of the world and how he's perceived by people and how he wants to be perceived by people. That's like one of the main themes of the book is about identity and how you don't get, like, you get to define your identity to an extent for yourself, but other people are also going to impose identity upon you based on how they see you. And sometimes you'll be able to work to change that, but other times it doesn't matter how hard you work, that will not be something you can change. And the sociocultural, racial, political landscape that the author is using to kind of address that theme is really fascinating and really well done. And I just like I loved the main character so much and wanted to know, like, how's he going to handle this? What is he going to do to address these issues? Because he's like, I don't know, last of the sons of the emperor. The emperor is assassinated and he's suddenly in line for the throne and has to become an emperor. And he never intended to. He never believed that he would. And he never wanted to. Like, he was just like, his family was atrocious to him because he was like, might even be a bastard son. I can't remember. And so, like, the expectation was never that he would be even close. Like, the emperor had other heirs, but they all died. And suddenly he's like, your coronation is next week. And he's imagine? Like, what? No, this isn't supposed to happen. But then it does. And then he's like, oh, there's power here. How am I going to use that? And it's this interesting dance of how he uses it in comparison to how other people have used power in his life and his experience of that. And yeah, it's just really, really well done. Like,
I can't wait to read that.
Yeah.
I wonder how many months it will take me to read it after saying that. But I did say it. You heard it here first.
You heard it. I mean, even if you don't, all that to say, like, if you're writing a fantasy romance and your primary goal is escapism and entertainment, yes, I think the kinds of readers that you're writing for, they're not there for the political intrigue. If that's there, that's fine, and that's fun, and that's, you know, entertaining and can be written well and all those good things. But that's not primarily what the reader's going to be caring about. They care about the characters. They care about the relationship between the two main characters. Like, that's the important part. The political intrigue matters in so much as it suspends disbelief and allows people to think that it's credible and interesting. But it's not the main stage. It's very much the backdrop. So don't give it more weight than it needs to have, basically.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
And there's a huge stage right now for fantasy that is not big battle focused, war focused, violent and gritty. Like, people are deep into cozy fantasy. So there's a middle ground of, like, there's drama and danger and hurt happening in this world. It's not like it's going to be a cozy fantasy necessarily, but it's also not going to be a bloodthirsty rip people's eyes out of their faces fantasy. Yes, I'll call myself out. Style. Not Elise style, okay? No one's trying to tell you that you're scary after you write this, and that's fine.
So then, okay, so my last thing that I've been hemming and hawing about, because I always forget about this thing called subplots. And I will sometimes get feedback and people will be like, what about this? And I'll be like, oh yeah, what about that? I guess that could have its own plot. So my discussion topic, I suppose, is how much space should it take up, and how important does it need to be for the main plot when it connects? Like, does it have to be groundbreaking?
I mean, you know? With subplot, like, there can be so many different subplots going on. There can be. It can be tough to do that well. I think one of the things I did with Poison Tongue in this rewrite was I removed the threads of a lot of potential subplots that never actually went anywhere, because that's what happens to me in discovery writing. I like, it's like I pour out every possible thread that could go somewhere in that discovery phase of like, these are all of my options and I want them all on the page because they're all fun and interesting and they could go so many places. But I never actually tie most of them off. Usually in that first draft, I throw a bunch out there, a bunch of them get tangled, but then I only actually follow a few of them to the end. And I would say that that's my main plot, and then there might be a couple subplots in there that I retain. This rewrite was about like trimming all the excess thread and making sure that that through line of the main plot is very clear and that the subplots aren't tangled up in it in a way that is not fun to read. So you might be dealing with that. Like, I don't know exactly which subplot you're referring to. I don't know if you want to share.
I don't even know.
Okay.
Because it became one of those things where I was like you said, you removing all the threads. I literally wrote that down because I was like, maybe you should focus on that in this draft and get your main plot perfect. And then you can go back in and add like, or make the subplot happen. Yeah. Like I can leave some stuff for it, but like not worry about it as much. But then I'm like, oh my God, then you're just gonna have to edit it again. And I know I'm gonna have to edit it again. I'm just trying to make it so I don't have to do it right away.
Oh no.
But yeah, one of the things I've run into is like I had a couple subplot ideas in the last draft that like sort of like you said kind of fizzled out because I couldn't decide exactly how to link them up to the end.
Okay.
I changed my mind on the ending 100 times.
Oh yeah.
So I actually think as I'm speaking about this, I'm like, do you know what you got to do, that doughhead, is look at your outline and then like look at what you got and then see which one is the most usable and which one will most likely lead to better, like the best connection at the end.
Yeah, I think that's what I would prioritize is like which subplot has the most connection points to the main plot that it can still like that it can be entertaining, it can be useful. It's not distracting from the main plot unless that's there as a red herring to like get people to think one thing, but it's actually, redirecting their attention in a strategic way. It shouldn't be doing that at the wrong moment. And then I would just be, if possible, be as honest as you can about whether it needs to be there at all. Do you already, like, what subplots do you already have? Because I feel like just from rereading the first few chapters that you've sent to me and Maya, like you have a few different subplots already going, like without getting into too much detail. Saren? Yes. Not Sabina. Saren's dog.
Yeah.
Saren's dog is a subplot.
Yes.
That is sprinkled in early on, and the details of that are not revealed so much, but there's a little bit of that. Kind of like
that's the one I should probably follow through on.
Okay, because you had questions about magic and when to bring up magic systems and whether you can bring up a magic system later. Technically, with that subplot, you brought up the magic system at the beginning already.
Oh, I love it. Thank you.
It's called foreshadowing, and you've already done it. You just need to do it a couple more times, lightly, and then you can save your big reveal for later. But there's that. There's Saren's sister is a subplot as well. It's tied to the main plot, but she's having her own little life there. Like each character has their own life, and that can affect the main plot. But it also kind of acts as a subplot because there's a subplot of like her relationship with this guy and will that go anywhere? And Saren doesn't want it to for good reasons.
Right.
But she doesn't have control over that. So it's kind of like her attention is not on that. She has like these other things that she has to focus on because too many things are pulling her attention in too many directions. And so her sister is pushing that subplot ahead without Saren being totally on top of it.
Hey, this might get me a little unstuck, so somewhere to go with this.
That's the point of these episodes. So there we go. Yeah, and I would say my guess is you need to do less than you think you do.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. For the subplots in particular, I think there's less that needs doing than you think. Like you've had that initial conversation. You've established that there is something about magic as a part of this world. So if that's true, then further magical natures coming to light should not be so much of a surprise.
That's true. Yes.
So saving that conversation you talked about, because if your character has no reason to bring up how magic works or some world building conversation, then nothing you can do about it. It will feel like an info dump. It will feel contrived. So until they have a reason to talk about it, either you need to make that reason happen sooner or you just save it for later. And
I think I can make it happen sooner.
Yeah, that would work as well.
I can make it happen sooner.
And then you can use the dog subplot to foreshadow that conversation, so it doesn't come out of nowhere, right? Like you've brought it up once already. Is there somewhere you can bring that thread up again? I would say that's
notes for myself here.
Yeah. That's effectively what this draft has been for me for Poison Tongue. Is like, okay, I'm trimming the fat, so to speak. I am trimming off those the excess threads. I'm trying to get rid of those, and then when I do have something that clicks or something that works out in the draft, it's like, okay, I want to keep this. Is there something I can add just before or like a few chapters ago, at least twice, to foreshadow this so that it feels natural? Or I might have already done that and be like, oh, if I add this here, then that like builds on or confirms this thing I started back there, and it almost like solves itself. I've had a number of those moments with this draft.
That just helped me introduce another character in a much smoother way, because you said, can you introduce it earlier? And I went, yes, I can.
Yes, I can.
I definitely introduced it earlier. Well, thanks.
You're welcome.
Solving all my problems. See, and now if my appointments don't take fucking forever tomorrow, I will hopefully get some writing in when I get home. But I also have already told myself, don't count on it, because I have like that kin stretch thing, and then I have Cairo and Shockwave, and I might be kind of sore after. It's hit or miss. So I might come home and just like flop on the floor, which is still writing, really, because I will be thinking and brainstorming when that happens. So
I have been taking time much more intentionally recently to like just be in silence, because you can't brainstorm while you have an audiobook playing. It just doesn't go. So
yeah, you can't have that many voices in your head. You know, there's a certain amount before you got to get checked in somewhere. You don't want to add to them, you know, too soon. Sorry, that was such an evil laugh. So as always, we like to wrap up with what we've been reading. Elise has been reading more than me, so I'm gonna let her lead this one off.
To be fair, these are my reads from the last 2 months, I want to say. Yeah, I don't know exactly the timeline, but it's not like I read these all in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I have a bunch of historical romances that I couldn't tell you the name of unless I looked at my Goodreads that I've also been reading. Those are like my little like binge read in the evenings, you know, start and stop them at will books that I don't really record as much. So, but you know. I
feel like I'm having a really good summer read
good, I like that
season. I like that for me. So I just recently finished The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig, and if you're wanting like a kind of a dark fantasy romance with a really interesting like spiritual and magical component, and then kind of a deconstruction of that spiritual system and what even is a god is kind of one of the fun questions that they get to ask. Really cool. I really enjoyed the world building. I would say that one, like, I enjoyed it. It wasn't, you know, my best read of the year, but I enjoyed it very much. It was a quick read. It was a lot of fun, and I would consider reading book 2 because it does end on a cliffhanger, of course. And the book 2 isn't out yet, so I'm a little salty about that, but that's not the author's fault. That's my fault. Yeah. But I think it's coming out relatively soon. It's on my library holds. Either it'll notify me when the library gets a copy, or I'll be notified when my copy is available. So we'll see. And then that one's a little more of a recent book, but then I went back in time to V.E. Schwab's one of her first books called City of Ghosts. It's part of a either a middle grade or I think it's young adult trilogy about a girl who can see ghosts and kind of walk between the living world and the dead. Like she goes behind the veil, and then people can't see her when she's in the other place where the ghosts are. And it's kind of a, you know, a little bit creepy, but just in the way that I can handle it, not in the I'm terrorized and now I can't go to sleep at night. So that was super fun. And the main character is super fun, and I really enjoyed her and her, like, she has a ghost best friend, and they have a really cute relationship, and it's really, really great. And then, and like proper YA, where it's just these stupid kids doing stupid stuff with no adult supervision. So
to be a stupid kid doing stupid stuff again without adult supervision. Now when I do stupid stuff, the adult in me is like,
That was
I do
stupid.
that anymore. And I'm like, I'm trying to be young at heart.
Trying to live again.
Yeah.
No. So I read those as physical or ebooks, and then my audio reads the last couple weeks have been The Bone Shard Daughter by Andrea Stewart. That was like more epic fantasy, first in a series, a little more intense, a little darker, really interesting with like these not robots, but constructs is what they're called, and they're animated by a bone shard that is put into their system. The bone shards are taken from people, and when they're activated with the bone shard, the person that they got it from starts to die. So like really interesting, like fascinating system. I just like, gives me the like chills a little bit. Like I've never seen anything like it, and it's also got kind of a, I want to say, Chinese-inspired monarchy system with an emperor and that structure, and I thought that was really fascinating to read and really well done. I could be wrong about the Chinese piece. I apologize if that's the case. It's just like very rich, very well done, very interesting. And then complete other side of the fantasy spectrum, we have Longshadow by Olivia Atwater, which is the third, I want to say, in her Half a Soul series. Half a Soul is the first book.
I read the first one, but I haven't read the others because, I mean, how many times have I said that about a series? Every time.
You recommended the first one to me because it was like a blend of Howl's Moving Castle and something else, and I was like, say no more. I'll read this immediately. And it was so much fun. I didn't really get the Howl's Moving Castle connection, but I loved it anyway, so it doesn't matter.
I think the love interest was supposed to be kind of like Howl,
yes,
but I also think like I've heard other characters described that way, and after reading Howl's Moving Castle, I'm like, I don't feel like anyone's ever been able to capture it accurately.
Howl is a special snowflake.
Like you want to hate him, but you can't.
You can't.
And I don't know.
Yeah. I can see how they would say that for book one with the male love interest. It's still not quite like it doesn't quite meet the mark. Right. Like you just like him because he's not hateable enough. Whereas Howl is a fool. He is a fool, and we all know it.
He's just frustrating enough that you're like,
Yeah. But then you also have to like him, and that's the hard part, and it's great. But yeah, Longshadow is book 3, and it is the main POV. And usually I don't like this, but I really enjoyed it. Was the main character in book 1? Her daughter is the protagonist, and the way that they bring in the other characters and the whole world interacts. Very well done. Similar, actually, to the Howl's Moving Castle trilogy, because those characters show up along the way, but they're not the main characters of the later books. And similar here, the daughter is very much the main character. And kind of like City of Ghosts, she has a ghost brother. Oh
my god,
who's like a significant character as well. They do so many things together. Very, very good. Very well done. And then I've talked for long enough, but last but not least, I finally did. Well, no, I am reading because I'm not done quite. The Legend of the Nine-Tailed Fox by Katrina Kwan, who we had on the show a few episodes ago. So
I still have to read that. I was like, I'm gonna read it as soon as I get it, and it's all signed and stuff, and it's in like this little place of honor on the pile of shame.
Oh yeah,
but I haven't read it yet.
Yeah, no, that's and I'm pretty sure authors know to expect that, so I don't think she holds it against us.
I know, and I did warn her. I was like, I don't know when I'll read it.
Exactly.
Just know that I will eventually. Oh, yeah. So like I said, I haven't been reading quite as much, but still reading, still muddling through. I'm almost finished Medea by Rosie Hewlett, which has been really fun. She also wrote another book called Medusa, and that was her indie book, I believe. And this one is her first agented book, I'm pretty sure. Yep. And it's fun. It's sort of like slightly, it's the retelling of some of the Greek myths, but usually the women that get, shafted. Yeah. And she does have sometimes like a little bit more modern language in it. It's definitely easier to absorb than like a classic retelling. Yeah. And I do like that. And one of my other favorite characters from Greek mythology, Atalanta, makes a pretty good appearance as well, which I was happy about. Love me some Atalanta. So that one's been good. And I've been tabbing it. So it's absolutely tabbed to death because she's got so many good lines. And I'm like, oh my gosh, how am I going to take a picture of this book with like purple tabs sticking out? But anyways, I'm also slowly working my way through Margaret Atwood's memoir, Book of Lives, on audio. The hold's going to be up before I can finish because it's like a 26-hour audiobook. And I looked at it at the bookstore because I was like, maybe I'll just buy it. I'm enjoying it, right? It was $46 for the hardcover. And like, it's a heifer of a book. And I'm going, wow, that's a bit expensive to sit in the pile of shame for like ever. Especially with memoirs, I tend to like them better on audio, and Margaret Atwood narrates it herself. So I was like, I'm just going to put it on hold again and it'll come back to me and I'll pick it up again. I don't usually do that, but I feel like because it's nonfiction, it'll be easier.
And it's, you said it's a memoir?
Mm-hmm.
And it's 26 hours?
It surely is.
My fantasy novels that I read.
I know.
Bone Shard Daughter wasn't even 20 hours.
But you know what is so funny? I love, she is just sassy enough that you are like, I can definitely listen to many more hours of this.
Okay.
And I think the other fun thing that I'm enjoying is she grew up in like rural Ontario, which is also like how my parents grew up. She actually lived in one of the cities that my mom grew up in at one point. And she's talking about it. It's like before my mom was even born, right? So I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to gift this book to my mom because, but yeah, it's interesting to hear what Ontario like back in that time. And she said it gave her a lot of material to work with when she wrote, I don't know if I'm gonna say right, Elias Grace, because of the time line, whatever. And I really like also as she's talking and going through her memoir, she like tells you when's that person was featured as a character and what book they were in. And I really love that. And the whole reason she was doing this now is because enough of the people are, quote, dead that she can talk about them. And she literally says she's talking about a bully of hers when she's a kid. And she's like, yeah, I never like told this story before, but now her and all her immediate family are dead. So here it is. And I was like, oh my God, I love you.
Wow.
So, hey, if you're on the fence about her memoir, it's worth a listen. I've been enjoying it. And she's like one of our OG feminists in literature. So,
there
I
you go.
her.
Recommended by Maria.
Right. And as someone who is not a memoir reader, I mean, this is like a pretty big recommendation. And I'm only like 8 hours into it because
it's 26 hours.
26 hours. And I'm like, I can only listen to it so fast. Okay. Because,
oh my word.
If I go too fast, I get distracted. Forget about it. But anyways, that's the tea on our current projects. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to rate and review and follow us at the Tea Grinds Podcast. And happy writing.